Welcome to the Trails Committee meeting, March 27th. I am calling the meeting to order at 7:31 p.m. We'll do a roll call. Roll call. Let me know that you're here when I call your name. Will Warren.
Here.
Isabella Bogdansky.
Here.
And Kat McKee here. And we'll let the record show that Satyendra Sharma and Tom McCoolier will be joining this evening, but a few minutes late. Okay. And so what I might do is just punt the minute approval until they join us so we can talk about that later. And
Sounds
we
good.
are going to have a visitor tonight from Youth and Family Services. I think her name is Mary Ellen.
Cool.
Mary Ellen Duggan. And we're going to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month and what we can do for that. So I'll punt that conversation until well, that's already later on, but we'll go ahead and revise the agenda when she joins us. Next up on the agenda, we've got the Master Plan Implementation Status Report. So the good news is this report is not due until Q2. So we're in the clear, but during Q2, we'll be basically, this is taking the master plan, looking at the goals and objectives that were listed as Trails being responsible party, and then making sure they fit into our goals and objectives for the Trails Committee, which, by the way, we should be setting kind of like a 5-year plan based on the master plan. But given our current phase 1 and phase 2 projects, which are keeping us quite busy, I think we can punt that a little bit. And once we get these other projects going and we have a little bandwidth in Q2, we should revisit that. But we do have to come up with a progress report. And it's basically just saying, what have you been working on related to the goals and objectives? Do you have any issues, any changes, need any support, and that kind of stuff? And Will actually serves on the committee with me. So there's that too.
Are we meeting Wednesday or Thursday? Never mind.
Thursday,
Oh.
because I've got stewardship on Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes that number 3 very easy. And then the next one is the MOA Trails. So the DCR MOA, the Memorandum of Agreement, is now, so there's been a development, which is SVT. So you may recall, and I'll just brief us all because it's been a long time since we've talked about it, but or maybe just a couple months. So Sudbury Valley trustees and the Westboro Community Land Trust are nonprofits, and they have, when the MOAs came back to us, the indemnification section was a difficult one for them to wrap their heads around and accept the terms. So we got together and proposed to DCR a few changes in the MOA, but it was also discovered that there is a volunteer agreement that DCR Parkside uses. That's a more streamlined approach when they engage with volunteers. So we approached DCR about using this other volunteer agreement and amending it to make it work for our purposes for contracting with DCR related to trail maintenance on the trails that we have. And they accepted the conversation. We talked about it. They said they were going to, talk to their legal counsel, but it might take a while. So given, and I spoke with SVT and Westboro Community Land Trust separately about this topic and said that the Trails Committee, Southborough Trails Committee, has already executed an MOA with DCR a couple times. So although our lawyers, the town's lawyers, are redlining the indemnification section and we still have some things to negotiate, the town is prepared to move forward with another MOA. And we want to just make sure that SVT and WCLT are okay if we move forward. And we wanted to, certainly support their efforts, all of our efforts to request this volunteer agreement. But given the projects that we have going on and the time sensitivity to those projects, I approached the entities and just asked if they would be okay. Southborough might have to move forward separate from that group to ensure that our projects get done in a timely manner and we have an executed MOA in place. So they understood and there was no bad feeling. So we were just trying to manage that relationship to make sure that they, we fully support their initiatives, but because they are a nonprofit, different from the town municipality, we have different objectives in that way. So that's where we landed. So but during that conversation, SVT brought up, there's a section of trail, let me pull this up so you can see it, that is connected to our open channel. So the Burrows Loop and the Sudbury Reservoir Trail that abuts or is adjacent to the open channel off of Ward Road. You're very familiar with this, Isabella. That trail juts off into the forest and connects with SVT's, part of what SVT has been maintaining. So Dan Stimson from SVT asked if Southborough would be interested and open to taking on that small piece of trail because it is in Southborough and it's the Burrows Loop too. So it would ease their management requirements and because of this volunteer agreement.
So this piece of trail is where again?
I'm trying to bring it up, but my computer is just,
Is this the trail that goes into Westboro or Northborough?
So yes, it does. It's adjacent to, I'm gonna be very.
It goes along the
hang on.
waterway there.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just having difficulties. Hold on. Oh, and there's someone in the waiting room. Sam Stivers. Hi, Sam. Okay, let me pull it up. This works. Oh, it didn't work. There's. Oh, good. Okay, I've got it now. I'm going to share screens. Okay, let me know when you can see an image. Can you guys see a map?
Yes.
Okay, so this is, let's see, Ward Road is here. Okay, we have some parking at the end. You have the access road. And this, can you see my cursor move along the waterway? It's the, This is the Sudbury Reservoir Trail / Burrows Loop / Aqueduct Trail. Sorry to confuse you, but it is all 3 in 1.
Yep.
So it continues on as the Aqueduct Trail up here, but this little red line, this goes into the woods. Now we maintain this little red line. This is the Burrows Loop, right? And then it intersects here with, it's on Walnut Hill Trail, right? And so this is what SVT has been maintaining. And they just asked if we would be interested in maintaining this and adding it to our agreement. And that would take SVT out of this little section, right? And make their negotiations a little bit easier from their point of view. So I think, it's before us. I think, it makes sense that we do it. Does anyone on the committee have any issues?
It's the little blue piece of trail there.
Yeah,
Purple,
purple. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it sounds good. I mean, is there anything? It's already been hacked out once, right? It's not like we're.
Yeah, there's an existing trail already there, and yeah. So, and it's signed, BLT already. So, but yeah.
I am pretty familiar with that trail, and I just will say that the purple section, it tends to be like a little bit more overgrown. So we just might want to do like a little bit more regular maintenance in the beginning.
Yes.
And I can definitely tackle that too.
Oh,
now,
awesome.
is this, does it end? Does it dead end there? Is that a dead end of the trail there?
No, there's another trail here. It's just very light colored trail line. So there's an intersection with a couple trails. But I'm sorry, Isabella, what you said you would be happy to help, but I think I didn't hear the end of that.
Oh, sorry. Happy to help. Just like cut the vegetation and make the trail more accessible.
Great. And we can do, it could be one of our work party days. So let's keep this in mind as we go through that. Okay, so thank you all. Sati, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about.
You joined at 7:41. It's fine. It's for the minutes. And Sam Stivers is in the waiting. He's a visitor. And we were
Mhm.
also expecting another visitor from Southborough Youth and Family Services. We'll see if she's able to join us, but we can still talk about that topic. Okay, so this needs to be added to the Trails MOA and reaching out to, DCR John Scannell, and we'll get that updated and see if the red lines that the town last made, the town's attorney last made, are acceptable. We should be really close to executing an MOA, with the town executing it. So we're still waiting to hear back, and we'll just see how that goes. But
This,
our phase one can still continue as it is right now.
this won't impact the bid and bid acceptance and all of
No,
that for
the
the bridge.
bid is phase two, and that's on MWA, most of the MWA property.
Okay,
So it does not impact that at all. Okay. So, and Satya, I'll catch you up on whatever is missing from the minutes. So that's the status of the MOA. So hopefully we'll get that moving. And that will, once that's complete, that just completes all of our permits or just the agreements that we needed updated. And so the next on the topic is, I guess let's wait for Tom for the minutes, just in case he can join us for that. So we'll come back to the minutes, but if someone can put a pin in that and remind me not to forget minutes, that would be great. Okay, so next is number 5, Peninsula Trail Phase 1 Mass Trails Grant. So just so we're all using the same naming conventions, Phase 1 equals Mass Trails Grant equals fencing, ADA parking, and signage at Route 30 and Central Street. That's Phase 1. Phase 2 is boardwalk and footbridge on MWA property on the other side. And that's where the bid is involved, right? And that's not funded by Mass Trails. So just for our, purposes of keeping the time tracking separate also, that's a good reminder. So we had a kickoff meeting finally after a reschedule from February 23rd. We pulled everybody together. The rescheduled date was March 6th. We posted a public meeting for that because we did have quorum. And we were able to meet with DCR, MWA, AnyFence, the contractor, DPW, and Recreation and Conservation Commission agent. Melissa joined us. So that was a full house and it was a really great meeting. I can we'll comment on it too, but basically out of that meeting, and as you'll see with the minutes, an idea came up about the question about the gate, relocating the gate from one location to another to allow for the ADA parking came up. And DCR they suggested, why don't you keep the existing access gate where it is and then put the additional gate further back, right behind the parking, the ADA parking, and we will open and close it every day. And the reason they suggested doing that was because if you just move the gate up and over the slope, you've then now created a kind of a longer runway for people to, and it's, wooded and off the road. So people may loiter there or park there when they, don't need to. So this would be a more secure approach to that area. So we really liked that thought. And it does reduce expenses, which is wonderful. And so I heard back from DCR, they just needed to entertain the idea and get approvals internally. They have confirmed yes. MWA is good to go, yes. So that means we don't have the expense of relocating the gate and fence. We just add a new gate, a bar gate at the top there. So that was great news. And also we talked about DCR, they have some boulders, and so we can make sure that any wheelchairs that are coming out of a van will have access around the gate. Thanks, Will, for shepherding that discussion and making sure we always kept that on top of mind. And we talked to DPW about the location of the parking, the timeline. He thought we might, the interim superintendent thought we could do that this spring. So that's great news. And so we then talked about the fencing of the riser shaft, got some specs down for that. So that's in good shape. And we may remember that we already have an order of conditions in place from our NOI application that we submitted in 2021. So we're in good permitting shape. And everyone's on the same page, and it was a wonderful kickoff. So Will, is there anything you'd like to add to share with the committee about our meeting on the 6th?
Let me just run through the timing of things. So in the morning, both gates will be closed and locked, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And then both gates will be opened. And then
Mhm.
at some point, both gates will be closed and locked.
No, one gate will stay closed and locked all the time. That will be the bar gate at the top of the parking.
Okay.
Because it can never be open to cars. It just isn't. It's
Okay.
only open for service vehicles because they use it to maintain the water infrastructure.
Okay. Okay. So I guess, there's the only problem I have with the existing gate is that it is not passable by wheelchairs at all.
When it's open, it will be. Right.
When it's
Because we're
open,
not
it will be,
saying-
but when it's closed, it is definitely not. But
But
I mean, and
so-
that may be fine, but that would
No.
just be my only point there.
Right. Well, so the idea is if you're in a wheelchair, you're not going to be able to get up that slope if you park
Okay.
down below. So you have to park in the ADA parking, which is
Right.
above the slope. And that's the access point, right?
Right.
So when the gates are closed, technically, it should be off hours in a perfect world. There may be times when they don't get it perfectly right, and we might have to volunteer some hours to help.
Okay. I mean, and it's the police department that will be opening and closing.
DCR.
What happens if, somebody's car gets locked in? Who do they call?
Ghostbusters. I'm just kidding. We'll have to have some signage around this. We'll have a phone number for them to call. They're probably gonna have to call the police.
Right.
But
Okay.
and we'll work it out with DCR. Like, obviously if a ranger's there and there's a car inside the gate, the ranger should, I think you'll have visibility. So it's not so far up a slope that you can't see that a car's parked there. Right. So we'll have to come up with some regulations internally, some guidelines for all of us to understand. And it might be also that, a representative, because I volunteered, if DCR is unable to maintain an opening and locking system and they needed help, but they said rangers are out there all the time, every day. So it would just be part of their operating process or protocols. But, I volunteered the Trails Committee to help in a pinch or such. So we may have a key, we may be able to help in some way. So those are really good questions, Will, if you want to kind of keep those top of your list. And then when we get to signage and stuff, make sure we're crossing those T's and dotting those I's.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add about the meeting?
I thought it was very good. Any fence, certainly got to look at everything. I think we discussed, there's a waterway that kind of flows right past where the fence is going to go in under a culvert. And we discussed that as well. And so it sounded good. I guess, just from the standpoint of I'm hoping that he's going to come up with a final design before he actually puts fence in, right?
Yeah, and I think he's going to meet with MWA as well. So
Okay. All right.
make sure
So,
that I would think that the day of the work, we're going to, do the little flagging and such.
okay. So just so that they're happy that that whatever gets fenced in is adequately accessible to their people and their needs.
Yes, and this is not any fence's first trip. It's like their third or fifth trip. So they've been working with us since 2020. And
Okay.
have met with MWA. This is their second time with MWA folks, and multiple times more with the Trails Committee. And we did present to Conservation Commission the location of the fencing near the waterway, and show, we measured and we took pictures, and it's also listed in the order of conditions that's been filed with the Mass DEP. So we're in good shape.
Okay.
Okay. Good. So yeah, so now we're just waiting on, we confirmed a few details after with AnyFence and MWA, and now we're just waiting for AnyFence to update the quote. I'll take the quote, send it to accounting. Accounting makes purchase order, then we send the purchase order to AnyFence. They tell us what their schedule is. Then we make them work with MWA and do, when they're on board, and make sure that the location of the fence works and they're good to go. So we're weeks away from that happening. I have not heard from AnyFence as far as their schedule, but they were comfortable it was going to be this spring in a few weeks. So that's great news. I do have one update. After we met, we've been working with this really great guy, Steve Schmidt. He's the operations manager for MWA, and his last day with MWA was on Friday. So he's been part of the project since, 2020, we were working and speccing it out. And so I think the individual we met will, on the second site visit for the bid, that his name is Colin. I think Colin may be taking Steve's place.
Just to go back to the AnyFence visit, there was a gentleman from DPW there.
Yes,
who was
Abdul.
filling in.
Yes.
Is there anything that we need to do to educate or, familiarize the incoming DPW head?
Yeah, get the project done before they get here. How about that? That's my objective, because I got Abdul up to speed. He's really awesome to work with. He's been very responsive, very attentive, and I love it. And so we have to work with him on a sketch for the parking, get that to conservation, make sure they're good with everything. And then hopefully, he thought that this project could get done this spring. I understand his contract runs through May. I don't know what date in May, so let's push for get it done before then. And then,
Okay.
yes, they'll be working with the new DPW superintendent if it doesn't.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's that. And yeah, so I'm very excited. And along the Mass Trails piece, so thank you everyone for submitting your time. That worked out really well. And so today's meeting, when we talk just now that we've all been talking, I don't exactly know when the clock started. Maybe it's been about 10-15 minutes that we've been on this part of the project. This is time tracked. And Sati, it's really helpful when you put that like 15-minute mark in the minutes, because then we have a record we can go back. But I do encourage all of us, and I promise I'm an offender as well, is to, when we get off this call, we go to our time trackers and we type it in, the date and the topic and the amount of time we spent. And we do that on an ongoing basis, so that each time I have to do a report to DCR, it's already in our spreadsheets. It takes a little getting used to, but I promise you it's much easier than trying to go back in time and sort that stuff out.
Our time trackers are located on the shared drive.
There, it should be, and I sent it in an email. I do believe it's on the shared drive. I will double check.
It is there, yes.
It is, okay.
All right.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for your diligence. Oh, and for the record, so I submitted the progress report for the Mass Trails grant, which is due on the 15th. And I did a quick estimate looking back at what we estimated for hours for in-kind support and what we actually did. So we estimated 2,000-ish, and we came in at like 1,900. So we're really close in meeting our, goals as far as in-kind support for labor. So I just wanted to share, because we were kind of taking a shot in the dark as far as how much we would budget for that. So it's good to know we're on track now for that. What was that face, Will?
Nothing.
Oh, okay.
I just, 2,000 hours is a person year, so.
$2,000 based on.
$2,000.
So
Okay.
we have $1,900 of
Okay.
hours at $38 an hour. So
Okay.
you mark that up into number of hours of the group, and that was since 12/6, which was our notice to proceed date.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, so next up is a potential SPAC contribution to enhance trail accessibility. So we've been trying to get on SPAC's agenda, but haven't quite lined up because of all of our meetings and their meetings happening on the same days. So I took an opportunity to talk with Bill Signs on my way to Vermont the other Friday, and we had a really great conversation about, and I just helped explain, I helped answer any questions about our permitting, about the trail. I invited them to go on a walk with us if they wanted to see the trail. And we talked about ways to make the trail more accessible. And Bill had some really great ideas about using Bluetooth as an option to connect people with visually impaired and things like that, that this might be an alternative to, say, Braille on a sign. So he was going to, I think he, was going to look into that, or maybe has looked into that, and there's some information out there. But it was in the broader context of creating something consistent across the board for Southborough. So maybe the library could use it, for example. So it was a really interesting idea. And so we talked in the sense of other ways that we could make the signs more accessible, that we'd want to talk to our ADA consultant, and also look into, there's sensory sensitivities and such. So are there ways that we can make the signs more user-friendly for more user groups in that way? And so the Trails Committee needs to type up a quick, like 1 to 2 page summary of ideas of how we might use that money. And then he could take that and bring it to SPAC if we can't make a future meeting, which I don't believe another one's been booked yet. Is that right, Will?
Not yet, no.
Yeah. So it may be that we can attend a future meeting, but in lieu of that, I have talked to Bill, shared, and I think he felt comfortable with our conversation and answered most of the concerns that came up during the last conversation, Will, during our last meeting recorded.
Good.
So I think we're in good shape, and that 1 pager, if I can attend to help walk through it, I will. If not, it may be enough to, have them make a vote and share any dollars with us that they have.
Good.
Yeah, and we would use that as matching funds for this phase 1. So if it applies to phase 1, that is, so it just depends on how we want to apply that. But speaking of which, one of our next steps on phase 1 is signage. And Will, you and I need to meet with the sign folks. But I did reach out to Rihanna of Fossil Industries. So I will be honest with you, her follow-up over the last few years is phenomenal, like of customer service. I haven't seen anything like this before. So she's really been a great rep, just redoing quotes for us and things like that, getting us in the place that we need. And so I asked her, I said, we can't, we want to make a meeting with you, but we're focused on these other 2 phases just yet, but it's soon coming soon. And I said, we do want to make sure, I don't know if we focused on ADA compliance with the signage initially. Can you tell us how they meet the specs related to height requirements and things like that? And she wrote, our standard pedestals are made to ADA compliant guidelines.
Great.
Yeah, so that's great. So what that means is structurally, we're not going to endure a lot of cost to reconfigure the signs. So in good shape there. And then
Very good.
The artwork and stuff, that's going to be on us to figure out, and how whatever else we include on that. So it was a beginning of a conversation that has to continue. So we'll, in this next phase between this meeting and our next one, we'll connect with the vendors and get the 2 additional quote updates that we need to certify, make sure that we're following the procurement process properly. And then as a committee, make a decision on who to go with, and then move from there.
Do we have to get a bid from these people or some type of quote from them?
Oh, we do have, we have quotes from 3 different firms. We just need 2 firms need to update their quotes, and then we need to decide as a committee who. And this firm, Fossil Industries, came to us twice recommended, one from Ashland, because there's a marathon park in Ashland, and I saw the signs that so I touched base with the town. This is back in 2020. I was like, who did your signs? Because they look really good. they're really sturdy, they're holding up for 7 years or more. So they recommended fossils. And then we also worked with a sign installer. You might remember a sign designer, Springer, what am I forgetting? I forget his name. His name is Philip. Spring Sign Crafter, I think is his name, his company's name. And he did our Southborough trails on top of our kiosks and stuff. He did some other stuff for stewardship. He did the town forest sign. He also recommended, because I touched base with him to see if he does those. So he recommended them as well. So twice recommended.
Do you need any help in calling references or anything?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And I think we can probably get away with 2, because that was probably a lot of work for you. But
No,
again,
it wasn't. It was fine. 3 is
Okay.
fine.
okay.
I mean, people were extremely eager. I would say eager, but let's say very cooperative in providing references. So
Yeah.
there was no
And we
problem.
can probably use a similar script, so we're basically halfway there. And all those
Sure.
hours count as in-kind support. So track
Okay.
it. So we'll talk, offline about that and report back to the committee. Okay, so next up is Peninsula Trail Phase 2 bid status update and next steps. So we also on the 21st, so it was unfortunate that we had a fake snowstorm on March 14th because we had to reschedule the site visit for the bid. And that took a lot of work because there's a huge process that you have to do with combis and central registrar. You have to submit an addendum for change, and we had to push back all the dates. So that's why we're now not opening a bid this morning at 10 a.m. and we are on the 4th next week. So, but we successfully held a site visit for the pre-bid site visit last Tuesday. And we had one company come to our bid site visit, and that company was Sumco. Is that the name? I put it in the minutes. Does anyone remember?
I believe it is Sunco, or yeah.
Yeah, I think it's some with an M co.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so we had a successful meeting. They asked some good questions. I included the Q&A in the minutes that you guys can look at. And, I think so now we had questions and answers were due today. So Melanie Atuska helped us get those sent around to the bidders, which is the requirement. And so bids are due next Tuesday by 10 a.m. And we have a posted meeting for April 4th at 10 a.m. and everyone here is welcome to join if you can. I know it's work hours, so everyone's forgiven for not coming if you can't. And we will open our bid and see where we are. And we may have a successful bidder or we may not. It just depends on how that goes. So moving right along, and I'm fingers crossed and hopeful that this goes well. If not, we will start over.
Okay, so, and by successful, we're hoping that their bid is going to somehow come in our budget, right?
Correct. Yeah, and that they are responsive in that they're fully qualified, because it's based on the lowest bidder, but you also have to review the qualifications and stuff and make sure that they can actually do the job.
Did you think they were leaning towards fiberglass or steel?
Oh, not steel, because steel is far. I don't think you can get the equipment in there to do steel.
Okay.
And I don't know if steel comes prefab, actually, maybe it does. But yeah, I didn't get a sense from them. They did ask the question. We talked about consideration of other types of materials, and we just said if you're using and proposing other materials, let us know what the why and the maintenance and the longevity.
With respect to the trees that would have to be taken down on one side of the bridge, do we have to coordinate with Framingham on that?
Yes, we coordinate with Framingham on the bridge, all of the bridge. And let's clarify what Will just said, because that's a trigger word for many people. There's only a few trees, like smaller size trees that need to be moved or modified, not modified, but moved, like removed, to make the bridge happen. So
Right.
it is our objective to minimize the number of trees impacted. And again, remember, we do have some budget for plantings for the trees that we might remove. We will be replacing in some way, and we have now certified horticulturists on staff on the committee to help us.
Since half of this bridge will be on Framingham's side, do they have to approve the bridge that we select?
Yes. So we have already been in touch in 2022. I made contact again with Framingham Conservation Commission. We presented in front of them a couple times, the idea, the plan, the preliminary plan, a preliminary quote. And so they were all on board. We received a letter of support from them. Everyone was good to go. You know, obviously we have to still go through the permitting process, and you know, when we get the real design, go through all the detailed questioning and stuff again, but preliminary plans, everything was good. Then the Conservation Commission changed over. The commissioner retired and some of the commissioners are gone. So now there's a whole new staff. So as a result of the Q&A last Tuesday, I reached back out to Framingham Parks and Rec, who was our key contact, but also looping in the new conservation agent in town and copying the commissioner, the chair of the commission. And I spoke with them, and they said basically they're amenable to the project. What we were trying to determine is, the question was asked, how does the bridge height relate to the floodplain? Like, are there any specific requirements and regulations we need to be aware of so that we can quote appropriately? And the answer to that is, like, we're not quite sure yet, but we're very amenable to the project. This is Framingham. And, you know, there are some exceptions that the Wetlands Acts allow for, like, per project, like project specific exceptions in some cases. So we would get to that bridge when we get to it, and discuss the details once a plan is in place. But again, he noted that they were amenable. The commissioner, they like the project. They think it's a good project and would want to make it work. And we're also working with Southborough's Conservation Commission. And so we spoke with Melissa, and she provided a little more guidance as far as, you know, we want to try to keep have the span of the bridge go out to as far off the bank as possible, outside of the floodplain, if possible, but not required. So do your due diligence in trying to get it out above the flood
When you
zone.
talk about a new conservation agent, you're referring to one for Framingham, right?
Correct, not Southborough. Correct.
All right.
So the short answer is yes, we'll be working with both commissions, and we've now reacquainted. I sent all the materials I sent last year. I had put together a small packet, a summary and overview to the Conservation Commission last year. I resent that. I resent all the emails. I resent the letter of support and said, hey, everyone who was on board last year, you still are. So
how much part is there in Framingham? I mean, we have the larger part of the bridge, or they have?
I don't know if it's divided down the middle. Like, that line is, you know, it's on a map somewhere. We have to look at it again and kind of scope it out. Stony Brook, because the sign on the bridge, we've been told it's on the wrong side. So it could be that more of the bridge is in Framingham or Southborough, but we should bring out Mass Mapper and go out there and check it out and see where we are.
Yeah, but one thing is, I mean, why they have to look at the quotes and bids and everything? I mean, because they are not financially involved, right? Framingham side.
No.
But still, you have to share the information about the bids and everything.
Share the information about the
bids and
No.
Okay.
No, I think so they'll need to know who the contractor is, so who the winning bid is, but we don't have to share. Like, I didn't have to run the bid by them. I didn't have to have their approval for that type of stuff. But when we start to execute the project, we'll need a complete stamp of approval from Framingham Conservation.
Okay.
And we worked with them on the Bay Circuit Trail, the little connector we did, Sati. We worked with them on that too. So we have somewhat of a history, a good working relationship with at least Parks and Rec, and now developing a new one with Conservation Commission over there.
But they will have to be, satisfied that this is an adequate bridge.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone
Okay.
will. Yeah,
All
it will be a fun process. Yeah. So that's phase 2. And so we're almost done April 4th. We'll know by 11 o'clock on April 4th what we have to work with. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, next up, and trying to speed through some of this. So DCR Earth Day cleanup event, a program coordinator, Catherine Parent, had reached out to me and to Southborough Trails, to Marlboro, and maybe a couple of other entities, advertising a program that they're sponsoring on Earth Day. So it overlaps with, and all of us, I think, are familiar with DPW does Earth Day cleanup in town. So we want to be sensitive. We're not stepping on any of their toes, but if we're focusing on the trails, I think we're in good shape. So I'm going to share screens. Let me see.
So Catherine Parent is program
Yeah,
coordinator for what?
Catherine Parent, she's the program coordinator for DCR Watershed
DCR.
Division.
Yeah, the Southborough Rotary Club also partners with DPW on the Earth
Oh
Day.
yeah, yep. Thank you. I knew that, but just didn't say it out loud.
Okay.
Okay, are you guys seeing this PDF now?
Yes.
It says March, May programs.
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is their program. They have a series of events. So I'm going to scroll down. It may be fast on your screen until I get April 22nd. So it's called Cash In, Trash Out, right? And they're hosting this program. They're going to meet at 9/11 Field, give away trash bags and stuff, and then have people clean up and go to different assigned areas. So go ahead.
Actually, the Rotary Club, we usually meet at the DPW and do
Yes.
the same thing.
Right, but see, Rotary, I'm sorry, DPW focuses on roads.
Oh, is this going to focus on trails or what?
Yeah, the way she presented it was, helping DCR watershed rangers clean up the Sudbury Reservoir.
Okay.
Okay, so it is a separate event, and thanks for keeping us honest, because we don't want to step on Rotary or DPW's toes, as we have worked with both groups on that day for different events.
Could you send me a copy of this PDF so that I can distribute it and just let Rotary know, that this will be happening in conjunction?
Yep, and please know that this is DCR doing a program on DCR property.
Right.
So DCR gets to do what DCR wants to in this case. And so they just reached out to see if we wanted to help. So a couple things is, if there's going to be a ton of people at 9/11 doing that work, then because there may be some, because DC, if you remember, 9/11 has a parking lot, and people, I think, fish off of there. So there may be some cleanup around the edges, but the trails there will not need trash pickup cleanup. Very minor, if at all. And so there's not going to be a ton of work to be done there. I'm curious if, Sati, like we've done in the past, where we've cleaned up Route 30, the point, we'll call it, off of Route 30 at the causeway. A lot of fishermen will, there's a lot of trash that gathers at the point. So we could offer to do that as part of this program, but not be at 9/11 Field. And I don't think the intention is just to be at 9/11. It says they're going to break into groups to different locations, right? So we could offer to do the point and have some people volunteer, if it depends on how many of us are available, or if we can get other volunteers to help us. But there's one thing in particular I'm interested in cleaning up, and we sort of mentioned this once, but at Route 85, and I will do a survey to make sure it's still the case, but at Route 85, at the end of the causeway, Sati, near where we put one of those recycling bins, right at a gate, and people go down that gate to fish, and they fish off that shore all the time. There used to be a huge collection of trash in the water right there, right? And I think if you look at some of the reservoirs, you'll find that at the corners, it's not a complete corner, not a 90-degree corner angle, but a rounded corner. There's trash collected there. And if they're open to us attempting to clean that out, I would volunteer. I would need someone on the shore, but I would volunteer to get in a wetsuit, go in the water and start to kind of clear that stuff out to help clean up the actual water.
Are you allowed to swim in the, or go into the
I
reservoir?
did not say I would
No,
swim.
if she is not swimming, I mean, she'll just do a wet,
I would literally be
don a
walking.
wetsuit and then
You'll be
Yeah.
on the bank.
on
I
the
will,
bank,
but you have to get in the water to clean it out.
in the water.
All right.
Yeah. So, but I would need, help to kind of do that. So anyway, that might be an option if there's a great need for it. And then I don't know if any of you guys have any thoughts on, if we think about, I'm going to stop sharing now. If we think about other, places that I think the trailhead, are the trailheads where people park are where trash gathers. And that's where we can kind of also focus. And that's more of a like, let me zip by and, a 1 or 2 person job where you can kind of just pick it up and go. So,
And one of the most important areas is near the gate, the proposed gate, on Route 30. There, the water meets on the Framingham Road, right?
yes, yes.
There's a lot of trash. People throw their,
So is that
um,
at the angle at where it, at kind of
yes.
off the point, but okay, let me show folks where we're talking so that everyone knows what you're.
I mean, I always.
Is this Route
Mm,
30 during Stony Brook or?
No,
not
opposite
Stony
side.
Brook. No, where we are putting the new gate.
Oh, okay. So
that
you're saying there's a
side.
lot of trash in that area as well?
On that
Where we're-
side, near the
Yeah,
water.
okay.
Where
Okay.
we're putting the new gate.
The access gate
Yeah.
for the parking that just we discussed, right?
Yeah.
On the
So Route 30 there where it goes across the reservoir.
across the
Yeah, there's a lot of
not the
trash
new
there.
gate, but the gate, not the gate, for the
The
where
current
we walk.
gate, right.
We walk towards the. So there's a red light, Route 30.
Yeah.
And then we do our parking, and then we walk towards the. Cannot name it.
Towards the water. So
We did this walking with the state senator. You remember?
Yes. Are you talking, are you talking about near the dam or
Near the dam, right?
near the
okay,
dam?
so I'm
Okay.
showing the screen right now, Sati.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right.
Let me.
Are you referring
make
to
it-
this? So this is
Where
Route,
is Route 30? Where is Route 30? Can you show me the Route 30?
yep, this is Route 30 here. This is
And
the
there's,
causeway.
that's the
Where is the
causeway
gate?
that the
Where is
cars.
that gate for the?
This is the gate.
Yeah. So here, right here, that angle.
So
The
just
arrow.
in this
Bring your
area.
arrow near. Yeah, near the water. Bring your
Okay.
arrow near the water. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Up.
the
But
water,
this is at sort of not near the dam. This is at the other side.
Not near the dam, but this. So
Yep.
we go towards dam from this road, right?
so
the
is it in
gate-
the water here?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
okay, so people aren't technically supposed to be there, but okay, so there's,
People do.
There's
Yeah.
that
I mean, I clean the trash. And tons of trash there. They show that they throw their nets and all those things.
Oh,
a
okay.
mix of that. So let me ask a question. April 22nd is Earth Day. Is there anyone that knows your schedule now that can volunteer to participate with me on that day?
Well, I'm going to be attending. I can certainly, volunteer with you. It'll be sort of part of the whole event.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I
if-
can do.
Sati,
I can also volunteer.
You can?
Yep.
Great. Wonderful. And we will volunteer Tom since he's not here to say no.
He's sent out a message that he's running late.
Okay,
So-
got it.
So
Um,
does it mean that it will be a quorum?
No, we had a quorum with 3 people, right? So,
It is true, but we don't, so we're picking up trash and site visits do not require a posted public meeting.
Hmm.
The reason we posted a meeting for the other site visits is because we were going to talk about the project and we did have quorum.
As
So
long
just-
as we
just
pick
don't
up the
talk about
trash
the
in
trash.
absolute silence, right?
Don't talk about the trash. You're gonna be
Will
okay.
not talk.
Don't tell me about the trash you pick up. Don't tell me about the nips and the brand. None of that, okay?
Where do people buy their nips? That would be my question. I mean,
I bet the liquor store owners in the area could tell a few stories.
I
I
think there's a liquor store
May-
client
may-
confidentiality, isn't that? That's
You have an NDA.
sacred, isn't it?
Maybe we can ask them to support us,
I don't know.
because
Yeah.
we are doing the.
Picking up all their bottles that they sell for free. Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Okay, great. So we're gonna have a nice Earth Day celebration, and I'll talk to Catherine Parent, let her know what our preliminary idea is, and we'll have to do some surveying and see, and I would like to get some of the waterways cleared up, but it sounds like we can divide and conquer. We'll have enough people to, and it's not a huge deal. Like most of the area that we'll be picking up is kind of a quick, except for the point. The point, oh, did I stop sharing because I wasn't finished?
Yeah, you did.
I did.
I guess one thing we
This is
need
the
to make sure
point.
we coordinate with DPW that if people are going to be leaving bags on the road there, that they know to go there, right? To pick up the bags. I mean, you leave your bag of trash and DPW.
Oh, I didn't even
comes
think
along.
about DPW picking up the trash. That'd be great.
No,
Yeah.
that's what they do for
They
the.
do. I mean, you put the yellow bags there and they'll pick it up. I mean, that
You know,
usually the
We've done
thing.
that before, but I wasn't thinking this is partnering with, or I guess it is kind of part of DPW's. It's kind
Yeah,
of like, it's everybody's program. Great.
yes,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
they do that for Rotary. They Rotary sends people out, and then DPW comes along and picks up the bag of trash, so you don't have to.
But
have to take it with you.
I think last time when we did, we had to deposit the bags. I mean, we had to take the bags and literally throw in the
That's when it
transfer
wasn't
station.
Earth Day, right, Sati? That was when we were doing it on a non-Earth Day event.
Non-Earth Day, right?
Yeah, when I
But the-
when I did it on Earth Day last year, I
You are
left
right,
the
yeah.
bag and they picked it up.
And I'll let Catherine Parent know that Southborough is doing their own thing with Rotary and DPW that she's scheduled on top of, which is fine. It's just that she should be aware of it.
That's fine. I mean, the point is
Yeah.
to get Southborough clean for once.
For once, what? No,
What do you mean?
this was very clean. Okay, great. So thank you for all of that. And so next up is Choke Fund 2022 Hike Series, Bench and Interpretive Sign. So you recall we did, we talked about this. We had a Heritage Day sign that said, tell us what you want to do. And we explored some winter stuff that we really didn't have a winter with any snow. So we couldn't do any snowshoeing because that was what we had decided to do, a snowshoe clinic. We hosted another forest bathing walk that qualified for the Choate Fund grant. So
Right.
that was hosted in November. And that was rained out, but we had a few people come, so that was still successful.
We also handed out free COVID on Heritage Day.
No, we did not.
No.
Eh, So we have, I'm going to share my screen again. We have some planning to do. Okay, so to fulfill our Choate Fund grant, we have to finish our nature hikes and such, and put in some signage and a bench. So I'd like some volunteers to help us do this. And so first off is, if you're seeing an Excel spreadsheet, confirm that you can see a budget.
Yes.
Okay, great. So what we have highlighted in yellow is stuff that we have already done. So we've done the forest bathing and the nature walks for children or family, focus walks. We have an opportunity and to work with stewardship again. Okay, so let me back up. Freddie, chair of Open Space Preservation Commission, is hosting Planet Palooza. It's a 3 or 4 week program to highlight, and it's centered around Earth Day, and it's to celebrate the planet, and it involves lots of different activities, including guided hikes and walks and singing at the library and highlighting the Beecology Garden and all sorts of things. So it's this wonderful program she's putting together. collaborating with lots of different groups, and we're one of those groups. So stewardship is interested in hosting a couple of nature walks to help celebrate this, and Trails would like to join that and pay for it because it will qualify, because we've set out to do a couple nature hikes. So I let Joyce know that we definitely had funding for one. We're going to do 2 walks on April 30th, Sunday. So I said the Trails Committee could definitely pay for one. And now I'm seeing this, and we have two nature walks budgeted. And Dan Harvey, who did it last year at the town forest, which is where it will be this year, has agreed to do 2 walks, separated by a break for $250. So it's a little bit under budget, which is nice. And we can knock out 2 more walks on the 29th. On the 30th. So everyone okay with that
Yes.
so far?
So we're gonna do 2 walks on one day, or?
Yeah, because not everyone can make the first walk. And the last time we hosted this, it will say sold out, but the registration filled up within 48 hours. Right. So there was a big demand for it.
That
And
was
so
the walk around the new Sudbury,
it was the town forest. Just
town forest. Okay.
Yep. So we're going to do that again. And we had some great kids, and it was really interactive. And Dan Harvey is a longtime ranger and is used to doing these types of educational programs. So it was a really great program. So the next up is what we had included in our proposal is yoga on the trails. And we had talked to last year to get this quote. I need to just pull up my email and take it off. Are you seeing my email right now?
No.
Okay,
Still
great.
still the
Spreadsheet.
Okay, good, perfect. So I reached out to Emma Bartolini, was the individual who we had connected with about doing yoga on the trails. And I've asked her if she's been doing a lot of different programs in town. I don't know if you guys are part of Southborough Care and Share, but she advertises or posts about her yoga programs on that site. And so I've asked if she was open to doing something yoga on the trails to help us fulfill this grant, as we had talked about. So if she had time this week to chat, that would be great.
Is
So
this the woman that we met at the Trails Conference presentation?
no, that was the forest bathing
Okay.
walker that we hired. That was her trainer.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Just a small world. So this relates to the visitor that we didn't quite have, but we can report back to. Mary Ellen from Southborough Family Youth and Family Services wanted to know if we would again this year host a hike the first week in May to help highlight Mental Health Awareness Month, like we did last year and the year before. Last year we did 2 forest bathing walks, right? And this year I thought, because we have this opportunity and we need to, we have a proposal for yoga on the trails, and what a better way to celebrate Mental Health Awareness Month than try to create a program of, like, I think we have 2, 4, 5 different sessions that we can schedule for yoga on the trail. So I'll stop there. What do you guys think about that proposal as a way to?
So yoga on the trails will be like as a mental health awareness. Okay.
As part of that program. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. And so because we have 5 sessions, some of these, they don't all have to be on a weekend, right? So it depends on her schedule and her availability. And some of these are adults and kids. Some of them are adults only, and some are kids only, right? So we have a variety, and we can work with her to see what her schedule might be to see if this will work. Now, to fit into the Youth and Family Services, they want that information. If we can do something by the end of this week, the 31st, they want to start advertising it. So, and she did say she wanted us to do something the first week in May. And I think that probably fits a program they're putting together. So if 2nd week, 3rd week, 4th week, they have different things going on. So I want to see if we can make that happen. But at the same time, if we're doing a bit of a series, it may be several events in May this might go into June, or we might start in April. It depends on her schedule and, you know, how we want to do things. I've also reached out to Freddie to make sure if there's important dates we need to stay away from because she has programming going on those dates, or if she's working with other orgs that have programming, so that we can coordinate and not step on, but we can go and decide.
Also, in the last 2 weeks of May, the last 2 Wednesdays of May and the first 2 Wednesdays of June, we will have the food truck event at the near the library, next to the library.
So the 24th, 31st,
And whatever the first 2 Wednesdays
and
in
the 7th
June are.
and the 14th is Will and food trucks.
Yep.
Got it. So we won't schedule meetings, or we will schedule meetings. Ha, ha.
We could meet at the food truck event. Yes, that's true.
What are you offering?
I'm offering the opportunity to buy a voucher that that will make you feel good and also get you some food. How's that?
Great.
I can't think of anything that would be better than that.
Okey doke. So how does the committee feel about that as an idea for number one, fulfilling part of the grant, like, you know, grant requirements, and also Mental Health Awareness Month?
It sounds good. Would these events be on the weekends?
It depends. I think we should try some weekends and not all weekends.
Okay.
You know, it depends on her schedule, and she has some recommendations based on her programming now, how people are available. But I think, you know, if we do an adults only and we do it on a weekday morning or something, I might not be able to attend a weekday morning. I don't know how you guys feel, but I don't think we have to be there for each of them. You know, we'll see how we can spread that out. But not everything has to be on a weekend. Okay.
Well, I certainly, for my part, I can't tell you how many people have suggested I do more with mental health.
Is that okay? I'll touch that. Okay. So the next thing is where I need some help. So we've got to put together interpretive sign. We suggested 2 signs, one on history, one on flora or fauna, and this is going to be somewhere on the trails in Southborough. So the flora fauna, I have an idea for a person on the committee who might be interested in helping doing that sign. Is there anyone who might be raising their hand if I put that out there? Is like, would you?
When, it depends when is that? When
I can do that.
Oh, great.
A
Well-
certified person.
Good, thank you. And we can talk about specs. We only have, our budget is $100 for the signs, and the signs I had done was through stewardship at our sign company, the Gemini, came in at 150. So we might need to be creative in how big the sign is and what we're doing on it. So and as far as the history one goes, is there anyone like interested in kind of working through a historical sign and kind of coming
so
up?
what needs to be done? Sign, creating the
Kind of
sign.
a proposal of an idea, like, oh, let me talk to somebody who knows some history in town. Where would be a good location for a little sign to talk
Would
about
this-
history?
Would
Yeah,
it
my
make sense
my
to-
neighbor is there, is in historical commission, or yeah.
Well, we've approached the so they kind of could be involved in some way, but we can't ask them to do any work. And we have to really, I think the best use for them is we come up with the idea, we come up with some facts, run it by them, see what they think, see if they want to improve anything, and then be done. Because I don't know if they're going to really be able to put much energy and effort into it. And I think they would be more of an advisory. Does that
Yeah.
sound like a good plan? That's been my experience. Is everyone's got their own objectives and busy.
I don't want to volunteer for this, but what I would say is that I was fascinated by the history of the reservoir. When
It
we
is
were on-
fascinating, and we're
on
gonna
that walk.
right, and we're gonna those are different signs that we're gonna put in place for. So that's not going away. That's still. But
Okay.
was that an interest, Sati? Did I hear any interest in there?
Yeah, I can work on it. No
Okay.
problem.
So our timeline for this is, it would be great if we could have some sort of idea by our next meeting, which I don't know when it is. We'll have to figure that out. And then, not make the perfect the enemy of the good, and do a good enough job, but get something up, in the by the end of June, if possible, or
Okay.
July, if we have to, right? For this choke fund grant thing. So does that sound realistic with you and Isabel?
Yeah.
You guys kind of propose an idea, and we have to think about where we want to put this and get permission from landowners. So if it's DCR, we're gonna have to be careful. We have to be cautious and mindful of mowing issues. So if we're putting up a new sign on a new post, and we're putting a new post, is it getting in the way of mowing? And I just had a great idea though. I wonder if, how we have to replace the post at the end of Ward Road anyway? That might be a great place for, like, if we have to put in a taller post, we could perhaps just install some sort of interpretive sign on that to talk a little bit about something, right? That Isabella comes up with, for example. That might be, and it's already a sign there, a post there. And then the other idea would be what's a good little history, something to highlight some history on the trails that we, that isn't already, and that would be kind of out of the way and not too, but something fun, a fun fact.
Something interesting, right?
Yeah. So that's your challenge. Thank you, Sati. So Sati is going to be the history sign guy, and it doesn't mean you can't share your ideas, Will. So if you want to talk to Sati, you email him every day, all day long.
Spam me.
Okay, Val. Great, thank you both. And then the other thing is a bench. Now, Will, there is an open opportunity here. We need to purchase have a suggested type of bench and purchase one and install, and we have $500 to do so.
Okay.
And I'll give you a hint. We
yeah.
have one bench on the trail. It's located across from the Burnett Mansion. Have you ever been there? You and I did.
Yeah,
too.
I've been on that. Yeah, where we were clearing brush. Yes.
Yes, that's right. So
Right.
there's already a bench and it's dedicated. So there's an opportunity, if we want to dedicate it to somebody, I don't know, maybe have a contest. I don't know, have people write essays. Who should it be dedicated to? That might be
Okay.
maybe not an essay.
That bench that is currently there, is that a $500 bench, or is that a much more
I
expensive?
can't remember. It would be in the ballpark because it was granite. So we want to think about, longevity, ease of putting it in place, but not ease of taking it out of place. So keeping it safe, that kind of stuff. And then where it's going to go, like, is there a little vista we can put a bench? And it doesn't have to be a granite bench. It can be another type of material.
Well, when you say work on this, okay, let's suppose that we're going to copy that bench. It's our bench style, it's our brand. You want me to find a vendor or what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think you can purchase that kind of stuff from like a Home Depot, versus going to a stone. You want to be cost sensitive but quality focused.
Yeah, I mean, I actually purchased a bench and put it at the end of my street where my daughters used to catch the bus when they were younger, and it's still there. It's just concrete slab.
Okay.
I
Right
mean,
up
if that's fine, that's not a very expensive bench.
Yeah.
And as far as dedicating, that actually would drive up the cost significantly, I think, just to have a plaque that would dedicate it.
Yeah. Well, so I think they engraved the bench, the granite one. And if concrete is relatively inexpensive, I don't know what's inexpensive. Is it $200? Is it really going to cost $300 to engrave?
No, I'll look into benches and see what I can find. But if my memory serves me, that was quite a bit less than $100. At that
500,
particular
we have
concrete
500.
bench.
We have
No,
five.
what I'm saying is that the bench that I put at the end of my street was nowhere near $500.
Oh, okay. Well, if we want to use the money in a responsible way, but all of it.
Well, I mean, suppose we can get a deal on benches. Would we want to have more than one bench?
If we have the money for it, sure. If we exceed expectations, yes, but we don't want to fail them.
Buy one, get one free type.
Yeah, but I would just say that, you know, the excitement of a bench is not necessarily the dedication, it's more being able to sit on it.
Uh-huh.
And so, I mean, if we had a choice of dedicating or ending up with 2 or 3, I would err towards the side of ending up with 2 or 3. We don't have to dedicate, do we?
We don't. It's an opportunity to engage the community, to give us some ideas of who they might want to see, you know, but we don't have to do it. It does,
Okay.
it can, there may be some, I don't know, something I'm stepping in because we've asked to have, you know, people submit, and then is there a subjective criteria for choosing who that person is? Are you stepping on toes? Did you now just create a problem for your community? I'm not sure all those rules and regs about dedication. So
In terms of engaging the community, like I said, I think the most important engagement that a bench does is with the backside, right?
it welcomes the butt. Now, we do want to just be mindful of where we put a bench. It requires special maintenance, because if you notice, the one across from the Burnett needs weed whacking around it often.
Yeah, which is fine. That's fine. I mean, fortunately, we have some labor that has a weak mind and a strong back. So, you know,
And we now have a weed whacker on staff, like we have a machine. We purchased one, so.
oh,
Which
okay.
we need to
But
get back to organizing that shed. Okay, so thank you. Everybody has now a wonderful task to do. In the next meeting, we're gonna come back and we're gonna knock these deliverables out of the ballpark. Thank you for your help.
All right.
Okay, so I'll report back next time. So we talked about number 10. I still don't see that Mary Ellen was able to join us, but I'll update her after this meeting. Planet Palooza participation schedule, I've already kind of talked about that. We'll figure out what Emma, the yoga teacher, wants to do if for scheduling, and then go from there. And then, so minutes, I almost forgot. So we didn't get Tom's participation, but I circulated the minutes. Does anyone have any questions? Should I pull them up? Do we want to look? Because basically 213 was a regular meeting, but 3.6 and 321 were site visits. So I tried to capture the conversations during the site visit as broadly as we could. So, does anyone want me to pull it up, or have you had an opportunity to review them?
I reviewed them quickly. They look fine.
Bella, Sati.
They
No, I
look
didn't
good to
review
me.
it.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion to approve the minutes from February 13th, March 6th, and March 21st?
So moved.
Second.
Great.
Hmm.
Okay, and then we will do a roll call. Satyendra Sharma
Yes.
and Will Warren,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, great. It passes. Perfect, thank you. And then number 12, anything else for maintenance, trail of butters? So we had a
We just approved all the minutes, right?
yeah, we
Okay.
did.
All right.
So we had a Troop 92 representative reached out and asked if there was any service hours. So he also identified that there may be some trees down at the 911 loop. And George Harris of Troop 92 has helped us with that type of stuff before. So it may be an opportunity to work with them. I'm just trying to figure out what their timeline is. And so I will keep you posted on any service hours that we can use from the Boy Scouts. We heard from an individual. This was an interesting request, but we don't have to dive deep, so don't worry. Noah Ponte or Pont. He is Trotter Middle School 8th grade civics action project. He reached out and said, I'm an 8th grader at Trotter Middle School. Me and my friends were presented with a civic action project, CAP, and doing it on a community service. We were wondering if there is any sort of community service we could do with the trails. This would be done next year in the fall, and we would take a bus load of 8th graders to possibly clean up the trails around Southborough. We're open to any ideas you may have for a big group of 8th graders. So, and I think when he says next year, I think he means fall of this year, next school year for them, right? So so he wasn't, I invited him today, but he wasn't able to join us. He said there's going to be a bigger group of them. So he asked for more time. So when we schedule our next meeting, I'll ask him to see if he can join us. I don't know exactly what we could have them do just yet, because as we were talking about, Southborough trails are pretty clean, which is great. However, it depends on the, activity of the phase 1 and phase 2. There may be some trail work or building out a trail or something to that effect, or native plantings that we have to do that they might be able to help with. So it's all preliminary, but I wanted to give the committee an opportunity to understand that that's come forward. It would be really great to help them develop a project and be a part of that, because we have wanted to get involved with more school age children and get more into the schools in general for programming. So this might be a wonderful door open. Any questions or thoughts? Really planting a seed more.
Well, if we can't, as in the Trails Committee, come up with something for these 8th graders,
Don't
we
you
have
be
one of our
silly.
Rotary people. One of our Rotary people is sponsoring a middle school / high school Rotary club, and if we might be able to get them involved in something from the Rotary Club angle if they're not involved in something with the Trails angle.
Okay, trails first, Rotary second.
I understand. I'm wearing my Trails hat. Can't you see my Trails hat? This hair is not real. It's a
There might be an
toupee.
interesting partnership. How about that? We come out of it collaborate. Imagine that.
Okay, that'd be
might-
good. That would be good.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing that, because that might be, if we don't have something, we can send them.
Well, if you send me that PDF, as I mentioned before, and then I'll speak to the Rotary people on Wednesday about that there might be some 8th graders that are looking for something to do, and maybe we could do something in conjunction with Trails. We have first dibs as Trails. Yes.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay. And then in closing, so the last piece I'll share is trail abutters. I should have mentioned this when I was talking about phase 1. I'm going to go ahead and send out, we talked about this during the kickoff meeting. I'm going to recycle the abutter outreach letter that we circulated last April in 2022, or maybe it must have been 2021. I think, actually, now that I think about it, let me think about this, because the minutes I sent around, I think I had a typo and I want to fix it. And that means we have to re-vote on the minutes, because, hang on just a second.
No, we approved them as amended, so that's fine.
Well, we didn't amend them yet.
No, we didn't.
Yes, but no. Okay, if you want to have another vote, we can.
Well, I don't wanna, but I think we have to by law have to. Which one would it be? It would be 3-6. Oh, no, got it right. April 2021. Perfect. Okay, sorry. I just random thought. Okay, so I'm gonna send that abutter letter out with a revision of the timeline. And just let them know that the project is kicking off. They have our contact information. Please reach out with any questions or concerns, and we'll go from there. Okay. And then the next up is our next meeting. So let's see, it should definitely be after the 4th when we find out. Okay, let's see. Okay, so, but maybe not too far after the 4th, because we want to plan for the yoga on the trails and stuff. Some of that planning is probably going to have to happen in advance so that I can get stuff to them by the 31st. But if it's not all worked out, that's fine. All right. How about the 5th?
April 5th.
Yeah, Wednesday, April 5th.
And April 5th.
Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Let me just
That
check
is
my
okay.
calendar.
At 7:30.
That also works with me.
It is. Okay, wonderful. So hopefully it will work for Mr. Tom. And so April 5th, and we may be celebrating. I'm gonna hang on to that hope.
Yeah, it's fine for me as well.
Okay, good. Okay, great. So I think that's it. Any other business before the committee? So you guys let us know if you have any questions about the signage or want to run any thoughts by or have a sounding board, feel free to reach out. Will, same thing with you on benches. Actually, it doesn't give you a ton of time to plan, so do your best. And thank you very much for helping move that forward. It's okay if it slides a little bit, but it would be great to have some initial ideas so we can kind of brainstorm together at least. Sound good?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So does someone might want to make a motion to adjourn at 8:51?
I can. So
That's
moved.
Santi? Okay. And who seconded?
Second.
Will. Okay. Thank you. And let's do roll call. So all those in favor, Will Warren,
Aye.
Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes. So we adjourn at 8:51. All right. Thank you,
So
everyone.
I'll check the recording and see the things that I missed. So no problem about that.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, actually, it's up to you, but if you're in good position to send them tonight, I'm happy just to fill in the front.
Okay,
portion.
I can. Yeah, most of the things
Just
are there.
because I know that we've been on a good roll and I really like it, and I like to
Okay.
spend minutes right away.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'll send it tonight.
Great. So. I'll
Okay,
fill-
and if,
Thanks.
Kat, if you
All right,
can send me the
everyone.
PDF so I can distribute it to Rotary.
Yes, I'll get that over to you now. Thank you,
Thanks.
everyone, and have a great
Thank you.
week. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.